Hey everyone, Geophysicist Stefan Burns here. As many of you know, I'm right now here in Abisko, Sweden, here to experience the aurora. And well, this was the perfect time to come because we have been seeing an incredible display of aurora here up in the Arctic Circle. As you can see, we had an incredible awesome display last night with this substorm. The aurora was literally dancing in front of our eyes, and this is not something that's never been seen before, but this isn't common, and especially under these solar wind conditions, this is very, very rare. And this really speaks to just how intense the recent solar activity has been and how it has charged up the Earth electrically. Specifically, the global electric circuit is supercharged, meaning just even a slight solar wind disturbance with a negative polarity field for that BZ component was able to drive these very powerful substorms, and all this plasma stored in the plastosphere was able to quickly precipitate down and trigger these ribbons and curtains of plasma that we know as aurora. And so this is really illustrative of exactly what is happening here on Earth right now. There's some other things that are odd as well. We've had very little earthquake activity. We've only had, for example, today, a magnitude 5.5 earthquake that just struck off the eastern coast of Cuba. Everything else is under magnitude 5 for the past 24 hours. We haven't had a magnitude 6.5 or greater earthquake for nearly a month now. So while we've had this intense solar activity, which we can see right here, going back to the beginning of February, and we've had some really intense auroral activity up in the Arctic Circle, Northern Hemisphere, we haven't seen this energy expressed in other ways, but eventually it is bound to do so. All those auroral currents and more induce electric currents in Earth's surface as geoelectric telluric currents. So here we see the sun going from February 1st to the 8th today, and we'll notice that this is all primarily driven by sunspot group 4366, which reached an incredible size right as about to turn Earth facing. But you'll notice that just in general, there's been a huge amount of solar flare activity, dozens and dozens of M-class flares, 6 X-class flares, but it's not just from the sunspot group. You'll also notice some other sunspots participating here, just activity all around in general, showing that this was widespread distributed solar activity. And if you're just to look at these solar wind parameters that we recently had and talk about aurora and the chance that we see some significant aurora, you'd be like, well, there's really nothing to report about. Because, well, here is our real-time solar wind. This was the coronal mass ejection impact that came in from that 8.1 X-class flare. It wasn't a strong coronal mass ejection, wasn't exactly Earth-directed, but we did get an impact. And we had a G1 storm from that. But these intense auroral substorms that I'm seeing here in Abisko, Sweden, reporting for you live, have been during very minor solar wind configurations. And basically, under normal conditions, that would not drive the type of auroral show or display that we have been seeing. So that is the data that's indicating that there is some other factor at play here, and that is the fact that all those solar flares greatly charge up the global electric circuit. And as a result of that, because this is not just solar wind driven, because Earth itself is just teeming with energy right now, this could express itself in other ways. It currently has not done so. And the longer we go, for example, without a significant earthquake, I think the more likely it is that we get a big earthquake or even a global seismic burst with multiple high magnitude earthquakes to occur. It's only a matter of time. I want to show you these solar wind conditions that we've been experiencing here to show you exactly when these substorms have been happening, because I've been catching them pretty nicely. This is back on the 6th right there. That was a little one. We saw that one as well because the sun had just set for us. So we caught that, and that was, for example, this substorm right here. This was back on the 6th of February, and you notice that you have aurora basically covering the entire sky. This was an incredible event. If I zoom forward, you see that we have almost like a Cinnabon display here. So that was the first one, but we didn't have the dancing lights in front of your eyes like we had just recently. If we go over here, this is the most recent substorm that we had last night. And the cool thing being here is that I've been tracking this. And basically, we were hanging out, said, hey, we have a brief but intense connection to the solar wind that's going to drive a significant substorm based off of the prior two that we had seen. Let's go out there and check. And well, that is what we saw. So check out this display of auroral lights here. You can see the excited oxygen, that's the green and the red, but you also see excited nitrogen here with the purple and the blue. And it's literally just alive right in front. The camera will pan over and you see that the part of the sky was just completely lit up. And again, the solar wind conditions here were only at values of 7 for the total field strength and -6 nanotesla for the BZ southward component. So that is nothing to write home about, yet it drove this intense substorm, which the locals who live there, who see this stuff all the time, were jumping and shouting about in the distance and all around. They were blown away by this just as much as I was and the rest of my friends who I was hanging out with. So this is really remarkable, and it really goes back to this incredible solar activity that we've had over the past few days. Again, just watch this sort of solar flare activity. Now, if we had a lot of coronal mass ejections launched from this, the conditions here on Earth would be different. The fact that we only had that one fairly weak coronal mass ejection, but all this light radiation hitting us, mean that we didn't have that energy effectively get discharged. So Earth's ionosphere has built up like a capacitor. If you know capacitor, you get electric charges that built up and then they can sometimes discharge between the plates. That's effectively where we are right now. We have part of our Earth energy system, the ionosphere, which is conductive, supercharged right now with its electric field potentials, clearly because it's driving, when we do get even tiny solar wind connections lasting just 30 minutes an hour, we're getting these intense, beautiful substorms that you would expect from like a G3, G4 storm. And then we're seeing the surface of the Earth itself, the crust, with very little earthquake activity. So there's this extreme difference in the energetic states between them. At some point, there will be an equalization between them. How that's going to manifest is the unknown, but this is not over yet. Like, I think there's a sense for some people that we had the solar flares, we're done with them. I don't think that this is over by any means. Also, these sunspots are likely to rotate back. We have a sunspot on the far side that's soon to rotate into view. I talked about that in yesterday's video. But this sort of charging up of the ionosphere, I think these sort of effects are going to last for the next week, 2 weeks, maybe longer, probably longer. I mean, this is not something you get every day. The last time we had activity like this was May of 2024. This is very rare, even on like a decadal time scale. It's not like it hasn't happened before in solar cycle 24 or solar cycle 23 or any solar cycle, but it's quite rare to see activity like this. So this is still active, this energy for the Earth, for ourselves, for the society and the collective consciousness overall. And I wanted you to be aware of that. Here we have our earthquake data for the past 24 hours provided by the USGS, and we can see our global seismic activity. Most recently, we just had this magnitude 5.5. That is the biggest earthquake of the past 24 hours right here off the coast of Cuba, pretty close also to Haiti and the Dominican Republic. So this is a big earthquake, but it's not like magnitude 7 or anything. You know, we often get a lot of magnitude 5s clustered a day. Typically, we get about 4 to 5 magnitude 5 to 5.9 earthquakes per day. Right now, it's sitting at 1. And we have a lot of 4.9s and below, but in general, we're not seeing that much earthquake activity. If I switch over here to the past 7 days, we'll click this on and we'll see what we get. We had this 6.1 in the Kermadec Trench. I talked about that. That's the only magnitude 6 in this time frame. 5.9, 5.8, 5.8, 5.5. But you see that it's not that long of a list until you get to 4.9. You'd expect about 35 magnitude 5 earthquakes for a week time period on average, and that list right there is definitely not 35. Maybe it's maximum 20 or so mean, I could count it out, but I think it's more about 15, 16, up to 20. So we seem to have a deficit of earthquake activity right now. We can very clearly see that if we go to the Earth Evolution Energy Analytics portal. This is my website. I have a whole bunch of data feeds here available. This is linked in the video description of all my videos. We see the Schumann resonance here measured in Tomsk, Russia. Some anomalous activity here, specifically right there. This is 20 hertz. This is mode 3. This is where we do get harmonics of the power grid, and these lines are harmonics of that, but we often don't see that sort of activation. So something odd is happening. I don't know exactly what to think, but in general, Earth is very much energized right now, as I was talking about. Here we see our global seismic activity level. Since January 15th, we've had basically moderate to low activity, and it seems to be trending down. And so we often see that occur before you get a big earthquake going up. So that kind of is the sense that I'm getting, that right now we have the ionosphere charged like a capacitor plate, super highly charged. The Earth's crust seems to not have really received that energy yet, but the more of these substorms that we get, and just in general over time, those electric currents in the ionosphere will induce electric currents in the surface and mantle of the crust. These are telluric currents, and that will start to drive new geologic activity, specifically as it relates to earthquakes and also as it relates to volcanoes. And our radiation belts are pretty much fully charged. We did have them dip down on the 6th of February in terms of their flux, the overall amount of plasma contained within the plasmasphere and the energy level to that. But as you see, it is recharging. This is now the 7th, and today, of course, is the 8th of February, and well, effectively reaches maximum flux again today. So we are sitting with a highly charged plasmasphere as well. So the space environment and the ionosphere, which is the boundary between the space and Earth environment, is super charged up as it relates of all those extreme solar flares that we had, the M-class flares and the X-class flares. And well, it seems the lower part of Earth, which includes the troposphere and Earth's surface, the crust, is at a deficiency of extreme energy events right now. We're not seeing that much volcanic activity at this moment in time. We're not seeing that much earthquake activity at this moment in time. So there's bound to be some sort of equalization soon. That is going to be really interesting to see how it plays out. But as of right now, this energy is dissipating to some degree with this aurora, because that energy goes in, hits the ionosphere, and then deeper parts of the atmosphere closer to us, and then we get those auroral electric currents and curtains and ribbons and more. So that's what we've been seeing here in Abisko with these incredible dancing displays. I'm going to continue watching for aurora while I'm here. I'm here for another 5-6 days or so, and we do have some potential impacts coming in over the next couple days. We just had our first M-class flare in the past few days from Sunspot Group 4366, so it's likely we're going to get a renewed burst of activity. So keep in mind that what we're seeing here is not just, oh, it's done, or we got like 2 more days of this. This is likely going to extend all the way out to February as a broad forecast. Specifically, when you add in also the planetary resonances that are active, we have the annular solar eclipse coming up on the 17th of February. That's a very high energy moment in time. And then you go straight into the Saturn-Neptune conjunction on the 20th of February. And then you have a planetary parade at the end of February involving Mars, Venus, Mercury, Saturn, Neptune. You also have the sun, of course. So we have a lot happening right now, like a tremendous amount happening right now. And this is going to continue forward. How it's going to express, that's kind of the unknown. I think we're due for a big seismic burst this February, but it could continue to just remain low activity, and then we'll get something perhaps even larger in March, but I don't think that's the most likely outcome. But I'll keep you up to date. I'm going to continue tracking the aurora. This has been really fantastic to see. It's just been awe-inspiring, which has been super, super cool. I'm happy to share this with you. I'm really glad to be able to do so. But it's also giving me a glimpse into the exact dynamics at play right now. Because if I wasn't seeing this with my own eyes, then I wouldn't be fully aware of the picture. So I'm very happy that I am where I am right now in order to more accurately report on this for you. So That is your video for today. Thank you all so much for watching. Again, I've been your host, Stefan Burns. Smash that thumbs up button to help the channel grow, and subscribe to stay up to date on everything that's occurring with the Earth energetically. We look at earthquakes, volcanoes, severe weather, geomagnetic storms, aurora. We also look at what's happening with the sun, solar activity, solar flares, planetary resonances, and alignments, interstellar and cosmic forces. All that and much more. I bring it all together with videos almost daily. Hope to see you around. Wishing each and every single one of you well. Please take care of yourselves, and I'll see you all in the next video.